Mark Natale. I hope I got those strong A's right, Mark. The visionary
That's
founding
exactly
principle,
right.
the visionary founding principle of Smart Thinking Inc., a luxury marketing agency renowned for its innovative approach in real estate and hospitality branding. With a rich background in New York's competitive markets, Mark has expertly blended storytelling with strategic marketing to create unforgettable brand experiences and can offer a different and fresh perspective on what it takes to build a brand today as a top rated hotel. Today, he leads his team in crafting dynamic solutions that resonate deeply with luxury markets, always emphasizing the motto think critically, act creatively. And that is trademark. So don't, after you listen to this, try and use that. Mark, pleasure to have you on. Thank you for taking the time on this Friday, surprisingly already in October as we wrap up another year. How are you?
Exactly. I'm doing great, Judd. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to the conversation with you.
How, now that we are in October already, and before we know it will be, I may as well say, happy holidays now. Because we'll be at Christmas before, and happy Thanksgiving as well, by the way, because that's how quickly it moves. You have these moments at the beginning of the month where you think, beginning of the month, all right, I got 4 weeks to crush this month, and all of a sudden it's the end of the month, and you're moving to the next month. But so and beautiful website, by the way, I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, how has how has 2024 been in general, and then how do you compare that versus say 2023?
For us, they both have been strong years. A lot of interesting new development going on around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting involved with those things. And I think the projects that we're working on right now are pretty exciting and hold a lot of promise and give us a great amount of creative um, capacity to do a lot of great work. So they've been good years for us. I think both years have been good for us.
Building brands that breathe, creating immersive experiences in real estate and hospitality. Elaborate.
Yeah, so I think what it comes down to, Judd, is that a lot of people, when they think of brands, they think of like, what's our logo going to look like, or what's our tagline going to be, or what's our icon that goes along with that. And that's part of brand identity, which is very important. And that idea comes from like the pure idea of branding livestock. That's where that comes from, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is ours, it belongs to us. And I think the way we look at brands, the best way that I describe it, I think, is we talk about it being symphonic in nature. When you go in the brand work that we do in the area that we're in, luxury real estate and hospitality, our product is experiential purely, right? There is nothing that you walk out of in a bag. You don't put it on later when you get home. Uh, our product is 100% based on the experience we're going to give you, and we're going to give you that experience um, through all this different space, right, that we've got in the property, and the experiences that we're going to create within those spaces. So when I talk about brands that breathe, I mean that they're alive. And the fact is that in the world that we're in, you have to bring that brand to life. You don't just you know slap your logo on it and hand it to someone after the cash register rings and they're gone. This is something you have to bring to life every day. And so when we
Yeah.
talk about the symphonic nature of it, I talk about that. Music for me is a big influence
Oh,
in my
same,
life, and I think about
same here.
yeah,
Same here. Yep.
yeah. So to me, these are two inextricably connected worlds. But when I talk about it being symphonic in nature, I don't care if your symphony of choice is the Boston Symphony or the mighty Van Halen or whomever it might be, Beyonce, whoever.
Right.
Um, when you go to hear any symphony play, it's great to hear the brass play or the woodwinds play on their own. But when everybody plays together, that's when you get the symphonic nature of things. And the brand development that we do in the world that we're in, like I said, is all that. So it's not enough to have a great digital experience. It's not enough to have a great telephone experience. It's not enough to have a great check-in experience or guest room experience or fitness center experience. All of those things have to come together and play the same song together. because that's how the brand comes to life, and that's what I talk about by brands breathing. Um, you can't outmarket a bad product, right? Like we can go and create these incredible ads and incredible digital experiences and do all that work. But if you come to that property and don't experience what we've told you, that's the undoing of the product. And it lies dead in the water. And so that's where you have to be able to make that come to life every day through a variety of different mediums that you're utilizing in your marketing efforts.
Absolutely, 100%. Especially now, it people are so inundated with
Yeah.
from every possible angle. It's incredible, and it will continue to accelerate. So
Yeah.
it's
And,
it,
Judd, on that point, it's interesting, because a lot of, obviously the retail landscape has changed because of online shopping and things. A variety of these different businesses have been affected by online uh, competitors.
right. Well, and
But
COVID
you
changed
can't,
that. COVID changed a lot of the way
yeah,
luxury real estate
right,
operates as well.
enhance that. But you're not going to replace a hotel with a digital experience. You're not going to replace a luxury real estate experience with a digital experience. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. You have to be there in person to experience it. So that's another thing too that you take into account, that this industry is not going to be replaced by a digital competitor.
No, you're absolutely correct, and you obviously know that. But it's absolutely
Yeah.
correct. It's the experience, and that was something also that came out of there were definitely some silver linings, at least in our industry, i.e., marketing, advertising, etc., public relations. Is
Mm-hmm.
people realized that, especially in the luxury sector, that it was not just about, say, traveling. It was about experiencing travel, like
Yeah.
experiencing luxury hotels that such as you work with, and in luxury real estate, for example, innovating. And the innovations that have
Correct.
come out of that are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. So those opportunities to create something different that no one has experienced before, that's really the basis of the brand work that you should be doing, right? Is how do we so we kind of go through three questions at the beginning: who are you, what do you do? Two fairly easy questions to answer, and then the third one is, why does it matter? And a lot of people can't answer that third one. So many people are out there developing products that are copycats to others. Oh, this is in our competitive set, so they have a spa, so we have to have a spa, and
Right.
we'll do that. And then they make the exact same spa that's across the street from them. And that's a missed opportunity. Yeah, there are table stakes that you have to be in this game, right? You gotta be able to be at the table, and you got to be able to compete with a competitive offering of whatever those qualifiers might be, as to what you're delineating or defining as luxury real estate or luxury hospitality. But it's how you do those things differently than your competitors that are going to truly set you apart and create the perceived value that your brand is working or trying to work so hard to do for you, is to create that perceived and real value, of what the difference is between you and your competitors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is something that has stuck true throughout my life. And it sounds like it's probably, along with music, which again, I highly admire and appreciate,
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, one song can change your outlook on a
Sure.
project that you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And is empathy is probably a big component of what you do. You have to constantly be thinking about, okay, what does the luxury consumer in
Yeah.
this market want to experience, want to feel, want to walk away from, knowing they want to experience this again and again and again, or buy this home or this development or whatever it might be.
Correct.
So lucky seven initiatives you must focus on to successfully market your property. And I'm looking forward to this answer because we work with many luxury realtors and brokers throughout the United States and the Caribbean, and I love working with them. I think they're some of the greatest entrepreneurs on the planet. So explain the lucky
Mm-hmm.
seven, Mark.
Yeah, essentially what that is it's an article that I wrote about what I think your sales and marketing team needs to be focused on. Oftentimes we'll go into projects and you'll see a lot of different areas of focus, and some of them are good and others are not. And so we try and boil that down in that Lucky Seven article that we wrote, and it kind of touches on seven key differentiators, or excuse me, seven key points that your sales and marketing team need to be working on. And so it's an overview of that, right? We talk about the creation of product differentiation, which you and I just spoke about. How are you creating your restaurants? How are you creating your spa? How are you creating your business center, or whatever it might be? There's all these different things that luxury hotels and luxury real estate are going to provide. But what is your perspective on it? What is your unique perspective, and why should somebody spend their time and money with you versus your competitive market, your competitive set? I talk about a maniacal focus on target markets. I mean, this is being the fact that it's a luxury product. It's not for everybody, right? But
Right.
sometimes you'll see marketing that is like buckshot. It goes in all different directions, and hopefully it hits what it's aiming for, rather than um, a specific targeted group or area of the country that you might, or the world that you might be targeting. So something that a maniacal focus, like being very focused on that particular target market and working
Yeah,
that target market, for time.
that's exactly right.
Um,
And
yeah,
as we were discussing before we started the podcast, is it could be a 15-mile radius between two, or an hour, let's say, between two luxury markets. Let's say Aspen and Vail, for example,
sure.
an hour apart. Two of the greatest luxury, you know, ski markets and markets in general in the United States, North America, and the
Yep.
world. Vastly different markets, vastly
Yeah.
different lifestyle, different personalities, and so to market in the in a similar fashion to each, it's not really capturing or going at it the way that, as you put it, maniacally, the way that you should, like a sharpshooter, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that Lucky Seven goes through those points. We talk about creating scarcity, and that goes again back to the idea of creating a product that is very different than what your competitors are offering, giving them a reason to choose you over the competitive set, and creating scarcity, so you create also a sense of urgency around what you're doing, and that we only have a limited amount of these products before they're gone. That's another aspect of scarcity. Um, we also talk about the fact that in unequivocal renderings, we talk about renderings. I had a discussion recently with somebody in selling very high end product, and the renderings that they were doing. I was like, this is okay for internal use, but you can't have this be your marketing face, right? You need to create renderings that the client looks at it and is hard pressed to tell whether it's built already or not. If they
Right.
can immediately tell, and again, look, I know you've got disclaimers. We have to disclaim this is an artist rendering, this is conceptual, and all that stuff. So you give that disclaimer. We're not wanting to trick anybody, but at the same time, you have to really be able to tell these people, in a impressive way, like this is what we're building. Take a look at what we're building. This isn't just something that is like a quick render. It's a photorealistic rendering that, like I said, the client has to look at and go, is that built already? Because that's incredible, And so
Exactly.
that's another thing that we talk about, is that really fantastic renderings. It is, you have to have them. It's a non it's a you can't it's a non-starter if you don't have renderings that are just absolutely knockout. Um, Another point that we talk about in the Lucky Seven is this idea of being on time versus being perfect. You know, uh, you have to be able to get your messaging out there. We'll ask a lot of this question a lot is, do you guys think it's more important to be on time, or do you think it's better to be perfect? Oftentimes people say it's better to be perfect, and you'll miss every deadline that you have if that's the case,
That
because
100%
you know
agree. Yep.
you're not going to be perfect. You can always improve your ad. You can always improve the creative somewhat. You
Yep.
can always improve the messaging. But the matter of the fact is, you have to get it out on time because you've got sales to make.
Yep.
And so we try and come in and really emphasize that a lot. That's a really interesting point. You can see that in the sales cycle in hotels really easily if you measure how often they're emailing, doing their email marketing. And you see when someone gets out of sequence with their email marketing, what that does to your top line revenue and therefore your bottom line revenue. But it's like, whoa, man, you realize how important it is to be out on time.
Absolutely.
So
And to
that's
constantly
another.
be and to constantly be top of mind, constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's a very noisy world that we live in now, and we've got to be there. So you've got to be in people's face
Yeah.
in a nice, polite, and elegant way, but in their face.
That's very well
So
said. Very well
yeah,
said.
yeah.
And if you're not, your competitor is.
Yeah, exactly. And then that kind of leads into the next point that we make in that Lucky Seven article is the development of compelling and ongoing content for your prospects. We're selling, for the most part, you're selling real estate that's in the seven-figure range, right? And
Right.
it's not typically an impulse buy. It's not like, okay, we're buying this tomorrow, right? It's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have a little bit of a long-standing relationship with prospects to get them to go, okay, let's come and see what you're building, or let's come and visit this place. The Your content calendar has to be filled with purposeful, beautiful, and and content that makes people want to stay. Both at your property, but also when they read your content. Like if you're looking at your content numbers and your metrics for time on the page are really low, uh, that should be a red flag. Don't just go by your open rates or your click through rates. You've got to look at how much time are people spending with you
Absolutely. Yep.
digitally. And so that ongoing content for your prospects is really, really key. And a lot of people don't have that in place. They don't have anything that's going to continue to feed those prospective buyers, in a regularly timed fashion that's scheduled out and methodically planned. And so that's another big part of what your sales process needs to be.
Absolutely.
Um,
It's the
yeah,
what we call it, at least from my side of the fence, is it used to be the 80-20 rule, but now we call it the 95-5 rule.
yeah,
95% of people are doing things not even close to the way they should be doing them. And if they were, they would be in a far different position. And they're just not spending the time and, or even further, most importantly, working with someone such as yourself and your team to really dig in and again, focus, be the sniper on the hill, you know?
yeah, exactly. And it does. It's a continuous effort, right? I mean, I wish it was like, okay, we could send two emails and the sale's done.
Right.
It's not. You know what I mean? This is a process, and you got to be committed to that
That's exactly right. I tell,
You know,
and I work with some of the, knock on wood, I'm very fortunate, some of the greatest luxury realtors, brokers, as I mentioned, and those ones know that
yeah,
if they're running a listing ad or whatnot, it's like that ad is not going to sell your listing. It's not.
exactly. Yeah,
There's literally
you got to keep
absolutely,
going back.
unless you get unless for some reason it just happens that way, but it just won't happen. It
Yeah,
won't. It has to be, as you, circling back to what you said, is it has to be an empathetic, completely immersive experience. And
yeah.
you look at geniuses such as, say, Fred Eklund, or who I don't work with, but I like watching him. But you look at these geniuses, and it's this fully, in correlation with what you do, just this immersive experience. And
Yeah, that's a really
very
big
few
part.
do it. Very few do it.
Yeah, no doubt. And to your point here, Judd, that's actually the last point in that article that we wrote, was this essentially what we call an encyclopedic understanding of the prospect journey, right? Like understanding what the prospect is experiencing at each step of the journey, and this is something that can, this particular portion, this particular deck that I'm referring to really applies more to real estate. There are points in here that apply to hospitality and hotels, but this is really more for real estate sales and understanding. Okay, someone raises their hand and says, "Yeah, I'd like a little bit more information on this development or on this particular unit that you're selling." Okay, what is the journey for them? Where do you expect them to be in 7 days, 14 days, 28 days? And in those markers, what are they experiencing during that time?
Mm-hmm.
And is it something that you've thought out, or is it something that you're making up as you go along? And I think more often than not, people are kind of making it up a little bit as they go along. And this aspect is really where the hotel industry is really good, right? The hotel industry is really good about, okay, someone walks through our door. Well, I should back this up. A great hotel will understand this journey. A great hotel understands this journey. And they deal with this very carefully and very systematically, right? Because it's show business, right? Really great hotel work is show business, right? You're on stage. You don't want to pull the curtain back. You want the person to understand the magic that the property can really deliver on, and you don't really want them to understand how we do that magic, but you want them to experience it.
Right.
And that's the same point that has to happen in luxury real estate. When someone does come to visit your property, that experience has to be, a thing of beauty, right? Something that you have thought through. You've got it choreographed, not in a way that it feels choreographed, but you've got it choreographed to show them exactly what you want to show them, what they're going to need to know, and what your take on their real estate purchase is, why it's different with you than it is with the competitor.
Right, and why this listing or this development? And in essence, it's almost as though it should correlate or model to a certain extent the way that you just eloquently and perfectly described the way that that leading hotels do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that encyclopedic understanding of what the prospect is going through when they are starting to engage with you about purchasing a property, it's incredibly important. And I just think that that's something that a lot of people, I think, leave to the end, and they're not really sure as to how it's going to go, and maybe it's only handled by the best realtor or the best agent or whatever it might, and that's a problem. You know what I mean? Because then you've personalized things, and if that person decides to go somewhere else, it's not the brand delivering that anymore. It's the person.
But
that's
yeah.
where you got to systemize that.
Well, I also think, I mean, speaking specifically of luxury real estate, both agents and brokers, is I think it's still, again, there have been some strong advancements made over the past few years, yet it is still, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it's still a bit antiquated.
Tell me how.
In essence, it's, and some people can pull this off. There are people in the Hamptons, Malibu, Aspen, etc., that can pull this off, and simply because of the market that they're in. But it's the standard old school, run an ad with one listing or 40 listings in it, and here's my headshot, and here's my phone number and email and my website. It's not the full immersive experience. Whereas there's this broker that we work with up in Vail, and he's cutting edge in terms of like doing exactly what you say, like being completely immersive. And that's how you sell a home worth, 20, 40, 50 million plus. That's how you sell it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, we don't really deal with the one-off home sales, right? That's not really, we're there with developers, kind of.
Yeah. I was just using it as an example.
No, but you're right though. And what I was going to say was tie that back to that is that, as you said, the best that are selling those $20, $30 million homes, they understand the experiential aspect of this and how they're going to do just what I just outlined there, right? What is the system when you come in to tour this place? How are we going to show people what it's about, why it's different than the other properties they've looked at, and what is the real opportunity that's here in front of you? On those one-offs, that's what they're doing, right? They're doing that really, really well. So, I just think that kind of level of care, that kind of level of, I hate to use the term standardization, but that's really what it is, a standardization. So you have a repeatable brand experience, right? Which is really what brands are about.
Yeah. And on that note, I you just brought something to mind. This is in 2020, and I had first started working with her, this top luxury broker up in LA, and she said, "I'm not selling a home worth $20 million. I'm selling a lifestyle."
Sure.
And if you don't get that, and that's what you're doing, you're selling a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Whether it's a visit to a luxury hotel or buying a development, whatever it might be, you're selling the lifestyle of it, right?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that's you have a, most developers that we work with have a certain perspective of what they want to deliver and what they want people to experience. And so our role is to work with that developer to get that perspective out into the open, where we can then say, okay, great, then this is the best way to express that perspective that's going to make people uh, want to purchase from us, or and want to purchase from us for more money than they would, so dollar per square foot comes into place, in these situations. But that's exactly right. I mean, we're trying to express that perspective and why our particular development is better than our competitors. And you were talking about Vale and Aspen a couple minutes ago. I learned this in my time in New York. I lived in New York. I'm originally from upstate New York, and after college, I went to New York. I started the company in New York.
I saw that.
In New York, your competitor is literally across the street. So it's like it's not like, well, they're down the road, or it's like they're right there.
Right.
You can throw a baseball through their front window.
Right.
So it's like you've got to have a pretty compelling argument, to keep people there, because it's easy for them to go someplace else. They've got to have a real reason to stay with you.
To walk across the street.
Yes, exactly.
Literally. Literally walk across the street. Just curious, what as we have a few minutes left, I've really enjoyed this conversation, by the way. Mark Natale, founder and president of Smarthinking Inc. And before I forget, Smarthinking Inc. Inc.com. Yes. And if you have the opportunity to work with this individual, whether you're in luxury real estate or luxury hospitality, in my opinion, it would be one of the most beneficial things you ever do. His email also is Mark, M-A-R-K, at smartthinkinginc.com. Mark. So
there's only one T, right? That's the only qualifier there. We're good thinkers but bad spellers. SMARTHINKINGINC.com. Smart Thinking Inc. with only one T. Sorry, go
ahead. Yes. So, right. Thank you for pointing that out. So, very importantly, and people always love to hear this, in my opinion, especially since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Is because I think it's one of the most beneficial things in people's lives. And since you mentioned it's an influence on you, which I listen to music constantly, like every moment I'm working, is what are your current favorites right now? Artists and or songs?
Well, so for me, it's funny because the whole brand story for me, everything that I kind of identified with from a brand standpoint started in my childhood. With the music that I listened to, and that was Kiss when I was a kid.
Okay.
When I was really little, I had my, I had my Kiss lunchbox and everything. Was totally part of who I was. And but since then, I mean, my music taste varied from, I just took my kids to see Colin Hay from Men at Work.
Yeah.
And I went to took my oldest daughter to see the Rolling Stones, and I just bought my tickets for Metallica here in June. I mean, I'm kind of all over the board. So like I listen to everything from Dire Straits to Slayer to French pop from the '60s. I'm kind of all over the place, and to me, that's really what that is. I guess I consider ourselves in the company that I own as professional storytellers, and I think musicians are that as well too. They're just a lot more talented and can play great music. So it's to me, there's a real kinship to that storytelling experience that happens when you go to see a fantastic show. So I kind of am all over the board, Judd, as far as like who my favorites are, who I'm listening to right now. Um, I listen to so much different stuff. I can't tell you that there's any one particular band that I'm listening to.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I'm all over the place too, but I tend to have
Yeah.
like a favorite a few times that, for whatever reason.
Tell me who.
Currently, Keith Urban's new album "High" is fantastic.
That's great.
He's such a good performer too.
Closest friend from high school, one of my childhood friends who I'm still very close with, works at Capitol Records and works with him. So I get the inside scoop on those as they're coming out. Keith is an incredible performer and is a talent, a real significant talent, and I have not listened to the new album yet, but I've seen it, and I'll make sure to put that on my list.
Oh, it's fantastic. Straight Line and the whole album is just chocked full of them. And but yeah, that's a favorite right now. So, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time. Mark Natale, founder and president of Smarthinking Inc. Again, that's smartthinkinginc.com with one T between smart and thinking. Smarthinkinginc.com. Mark, thank you so much. I hope we get to do this again. And I'm going to email your fantastic plug for her PR firm rep, Liz, about an idea I have for a feature we can hopefully do on you in the upcoming winter issues. So,
I love that.
Is there anything I didn't ask you or that I should have asked you?
No, I think it was a great conversation, Judd, and I'd be anxious to jump in on something else if you got something down the road. I'd love the opportunity to talk with you again. It was really great speaking with you.
Rock and roll, Mark. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks so much.
And I hope I speak to you before it's 2026, which will probably be here, seemingly be here in a few days.
Be here next week.
Exactly. Take care, brother.
Again, Judd. Take care. See ya.
Bye.